So today's episode of Nature's Always Right will be a follow-up video to the going to pick up the legendary pig Rambo with Cliff Davis of Pig and Leaf. So if you'd like to learn more about pig breeding and raising pigs naturally, Cliff Davis gives us an amazing breakdown of how breeding works, how his breeding operation works, and it really blew my mind on how it all comes together. Tons of things I had never heard of before, and I think that'll be really valuable to anybody out there that has never learned or wants to learn more about raising pigs.
Cliff Davis. I live in Summertown, Tennessee. I have a farm named Pig and Leaf, and I run it with my wife and then a manager and a couple other employees. We specialize in vegetables and cut flowers and woodland pork. Specifically, this pork that we raise is an Old Duroc. Basically, we come from a lineage of breeders since the early 1900s. First was Mr. James Gray that mentored my mentor, Mr. Henry Fudge. And then now I'm the one that's kind of taking the reign of the genetics and also the breeding secrecies or unorthodox breeding protocols.
Interesting.
And basically our lineage of Durocs, they have no modern day genetics in them. And we have a closed herd for almost 40 something years now. So we haven't brought any extra genetics from outside of the genetics that we already have. Wow. So we've been what we call lining that up for about 48 years, I believe. I've been working with Mr. Henry Fudge for 4 years or so, I guess. I've been raising hogs for 11, and eventually taking over the genetics and the breed as he passes on. And the beautiful thing about these Old Durocs is that they've been selected in a way that's completely unorthodox to most modern day breeders and breed stock growers. In that we select in a different way according to what Henry's learned through his observation experience, and also working with some older generation pig breeders back in the 70s and 80s. They all came to this conclusion that hogs were getting too fast, they're maturing too fast, they're kind of becoming like a linebacker, and we want them to be linemen. So we want them to slowly mature over time, want those skeletons mature over time, so that we'll get a much larger hog, but we'll also get more maternal nature within our sow lines. Okay. So we've been selecting for what's called youth or greenness. We judge hogs by 4 different characteristics. Youth, which is the slow maturing skeleton, and we judge them by scale, their actual size, their volume, which is in the internal volume, so where all of their babies sit, where all their organs sit, that internal volume, how much food they can eat, and then we also judge them by structure. Structure is like the size of the shoulders in comparison to the rest of its body. Also structure is the shape and form of their hips. Rambo, which y'all are picking up today, he'll be a 3-year-old boar in December, and he is from a line, the Beulah line. Beulah was his mama, and then Centurion was his daddy. Beulah is probably the most celebrated sow that we have. We try and line her up wherever we can. Oh. And when I say line her up, I mean like...
Line breeding?
Yep, line breeding. Yeah, that's right. So, line breeding, brother to sister, mother to son, or dad to daughter, and any other way you can do it. Wow. And what you're doing is you're lining up the characteristics that you want, and you're getting rid of all the recessive genetics that might surface. Like recently we had a little bit of a faint band on one of our hogs that was born, and we thought that might have been some ugly genetics that was coming back from some sort of belted hog. Okay. So we got rid of that. We didn't breed that back into the thing, into the mix. So and little things like that happen, but ours is pretty clean now. We got pretty pure lines. This is how they do everything. Dogs are done this way, horses are done this way, pigs are done this way, Everything's done this way.
is how you-
Cattle are done this way.
This is how you create a pure breed.
Pure line.
Pure
Yep.
line.
Yep.
So someday you're going to get to a point where, like, the genetics are more firm and
They will. They will. That's called like a bottleneck.
Yeah.
However, we haven't had that problem because what we do is we will store a boar at a semen storage place. So we recently re-inoculated our whole herd with an ambush boar from 25 years ago.
Interesting.
We stored him at International Boar Semen, and then we re-inoculated our genetics, and that's why we're seeing 10 to 12 per litter now. Well, I'd say 8 to 10, some 10 to 12, depending on the sow line. And then we're getting like really good hybrid vigor back in our sow. I mean, in our growers. The rate that they're growing is pretty incredible. We haven't seen it like this before.
Wow.
And
neat.
so that's the way we kind of get rid of the bottleneck.
Interesting. Wow.
We just save boars that might be influential later on, but we don't know.
So you're top of the line. Maybe they have certain traits or things that you like.
That's right. That's what they are. They have certain traits that we really like that we kind of have to predetermine our bottleneck. Like, what's the possible bottleneck that we might have?
That's interesting. It's almost like you have these different little like tools.
Totally.
For the future.
Oh, totally.
Because not knowing what's going to happen to the genetics.
Right.
That's so cool.
And then we have to breed that back in and then pull out the things that we want from it. Iron Man is one of those.
Mm-hmm.
Iron Man became the boar that Henry's been looking for 50 years.
He's got the greenness, he's got the shape, he's got
the scale, he's got the size, he's got the volume, he's got the youth, and he's got the structure.
Wow.
He's got it all in one package. But we'd have never had that if we kept just going with what we had. It would have taken forever to get there.
Did you invent that technique? Or?
No, I imagine other people do it.
Yeah.
Henry does it.
That's so smart.
I imagine it's pretty common.
I mean, that's a modern technique, obviously, because you couldn't freeze them in the past. So.
That's right.
But that's so neat to bring it back in.
Yeah, we can just take a boar to a semen place, work out a deal with them, and then they freeze it for us, and then they can do whatever they want with the rest of the boar, and then we keep a certain amount of those straws, they call them.
That's fascinating. Well,
yeah.
So Iron Man is the father of Rambo?
No, Iron Man's the brother.
It's the brother, okay.
Yep. Their mama was the Beulah 7-9 sow, the old Beulah sow.
Okay. So what's special about Rambo?
He's super green, and he produces really good sows.
Okay.
He's a big scaled hog, but not with a whole lot of structure, you know? But he's greener than can be. I mean, he's almost 3 years old.
What does green mean again?
It means a slow maturing skeleton.
Slow maturing skeleton.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that means that he's going to keep growing. He's not going to show no terminal nature, meaning he's not going to start growing really old quickly.
Okay.
Right? He's still literally growing. His daddy's 6 years old, 5 years old now, 5.5 years old, and he's still growing. He's still got greenness in him. And there's factors that you'd find within those hogs, like a flattening of the eyebrows. That means they're becoming mature.
Okay.
The sheath starting to go forward in the abdomen area. Their bones will stop being flat, what we call flat bone, like this, and they'll become more round. On their ankles and on their shoulders, that whole area, they'll get round really quick. So modern day show pigs are super terminal. You know,
in a year they're full.
They're mature.
Done. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they're mature.
Yeah.
Whereas we're looking for 6, 7 years, and that's when we want them to mature. And that's why we keep old boars to watch them. We want to watch and see when did they actually do that.
And now you know the genetics of these new babies.
That's right.
Now I know. Okay, this is.
That's right.
They had a really good greenness for a long, long time.
Even though we have indicators, you know, there's a high hip, a small ankle flared out to a big shoulder, a really nice level rump, you know, that with the legs that go straight down. That goes straight down.
Okay.
Let's see, what sheath is placed far back in the body. That's another indicator of greenness. And then between their eyes will be set to the side, and in between those it'll be round, not flat. And it won't start to dish, meaning it'll go flat to this. they're still round like this.
Right.
Like a light bulb almost. And that's how we look at them when they're young babies. We look at their heads.
Interesting.
And anytime we have any questions about a hog, whether it's green enough for our program, we just look at their heads. And they need to be long. They need to be the eyes to the side, the ears placed back as far as possible. And that little bit of curvature between the eyes.
Interesting.
Those are little subtleties that we look at whenever we're selecting for new breeds. New breed stock within the herd.
Super interesting.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's pretty intricate.
Yeah.
She had 7 and is gonna wean 6.
Okay.
For her first time, that's pretty good.
Do you mind to tell me what the notches do mean? Like I know it's
Yes.
about which
So
pig
the right side is the litter number. So that means she had a litter of 6. So the boars will be, so this is the litter of 25, I think.
So you put the notches in the ear
Yeah.
rather than tag.
Yeah, so if this is the ear, right? And this is the head.
Okay.
This is a 1, this is a 3, a 9, and a 27. So if if it was the litter number 14, right? I would do a 9, cut it. Well, I use a certain type of clipper, 9, a 3, that would be 12, and a 1 and a 1. And that'd be litter 14.
Okay.
And then I start with the boars. So the other ear would be over here. 14, 1 is the one boar. You know, one boar is a number 1, another boar is a number 2, the next boar is a number 3. The rest are gilts. So they'd be 4 through 8. And then anytime I can look at her right ear and say, oh, that's a 22 litter. That 22 litter was out of the bell. It's usually out of the mama.
Okay.
Is where you read it from. It's just a number. You're just going through a progression.
You do that on day 1?
I do it right when the best time to do it is right when they bird their placenta.
Okay.
Then you can pull them right out. You won't need to do it,
Right.
you know.
The other pig I bought had that done
Yeah.
on his ear, and I just wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Like,
If you're
how do
raising
they-
breed stock or or anything like that, you can do it. But unless you really want to know which mamas they come from, then I just don't see any reason you need to do it.
Yeah.
Now I like cutting the boars on day 1 too.
Okay. Day 1.
Day 1, not even 12 hours old, 24 hours old.
That mama's not even aware enough to
She's
get up
just
and
too
chase
wore
you.
out, man. Exactly.
Okay. Because that was my first round of pigs. Like, no, I thought getting shocked by the electric fence would wake you up in the morning. That pales to a big mama with her mouth open
Yeah, I know.
chasing you.
I know.
Like, woo, all right.
I've flown
That's
over
crazy, man.
fences. Flown.
Flown.
I've flown over fences, rolled on the ground, ended up on my 4-wheeler, and not know how I got there. Because one time I
Dude.
had a sow, I killed her, and she rolled me on the ground, and then she was right on top of me, going, rah, rah, rah. I punched
No
her right in
way.
the nose.
Oh
was
my.
right, in the
Yeah, in the
nose.
nose.
Punch them hard in the nose.
Okay.
And
That's
then,
good to know.
And then
Holy crap.
all I remember is I was back on the 4-wheeler. But yeah, that's what happened.
Wow.
Wow.
That is
wow.
scary.
Yeah.
But if you do it right when they birth the placenta, then you can take them all, put them in a barrel. You can if you want to give them iron shots or anything right there, you can do it then. You take them far away out of earshot.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then you can just cut their balls right there. You buy one-handed, just hold it, push the balls up, snip, pull, spray a little scarlet oil on them, put them back with the mama.
Scarlet
Call it a
oil.
day. Yeah, scarlet
What's
oil is
that?
like menthol, eucalyptus, and it's a wound dressing. They use it in horses.
Okay.
It's really good. I learned that from Albert Haraway.
So not iodine, or I've seen other people use. What is it?
Betadine is what I've seen.
yeah.
Yeah,
Or
blue
that's
or blue
the
coat.
blue, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the scarlet oil is better.
Yeah,
Blue
yeah.
coats, I don't think that's as good.
Mm.
They say
Okay.
all kinds of stuff about that blue coat.
Hey.
Scarlet oil is better though, and I like to if they're young like that, I wash their balls with a little like just detergent.
Yeah.
I'll wash them, and then clip
Then
them.
clip 'em.
I'll cut them,
Mm-hmm.
pull them, get everything out of there, and then spray them. I like to put a little bit of DMSO, dimethyl sulfur oxide. It's also used in the horse industry for inflammation.
Okay.
So we put that in.
DMSO.
Yeah,
DMSO.
Seth, get that for us.
Oh,
DMSO is pretty easy to find, and you just put a quarter of that in the scarlet oil, and that'll help with the swelling on the balls. But if they're 1 day old, they won't swell or nothing. They won't even
Nice.
bleed.
Wow.
Okay.
But you know, if they're 8 weeks,
I cut mine at 5 to
Yeah,
7.
5 to 8
But it
weeks.
was by the signs of the whatever when the
moon?
almanac
Oh wow.
said like this is the time to castrate pigs.
Oh wow.
No bleeding at all at 5 weeks. Like we were slicing some big ones off there. Did it by whatever that almanac said.
Hey, I'm
Interesting.
gonna have to try that. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
That was a buddy of mine who'd been doing pigs for a while. He was discussing like,
A good
you're gonna come over and help, and he's like, yeah, just let's look at the almanac, find out. I was like, hey, it says next Friday. Well, all right then, let's go do it.